Hey guys, you got Jacqueline and Corey here. We're going to talk all about protein today. So we're going to go over what proteins are, what are amino acids, how they aid in muscle building and overall metabolic health. I'm going to take you through a little bit of a slideshow presentation before we move into, Corey's going to talk about some fat loss stuff, some hormones, and then we don't have many on today, so we won't have a lot of questions. But after you see this video, if you want to review it and you have any questions, we're here to help. Awesome.
Yeah, Jack, you're gonna put it up right now.
Yes, sir. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. We're gonna go over this slideshow. I'll make this bigger. Okay. So protein and how it affects our metabolic health. So we have what is a protein? Proteins are enzymes that carry out different functions of the body. It is one of the three macronutrients along with fats and carbohydrates. So you hear us talk about macros a lot. Protein, fats, and carbs are the three main ones. Protein is essential for virtually every one of your cellular functions. You need protein for the structure, metabolic function, and regulation of all tissues and organs, including muscle. Every cell in your body is full of enzymes, which are proteins that control your metabolism. Protein is also important for neurotransmitters, which are responsible for your mood and sleep, your bones, your ligaments and tendons, your liver, brain, skin, and fingernails are all built from proteins. Protein and amino acids regulate our hormones. So protein is basically the driver of most of the functions in our body. That's why when people are deficient in proteins, they're deficient in that nutrient, and they're seeing a lot of symptoms come up, like brittle bones, issues with their mood, achy joints and ligaments and tendons. So that's part of the reason why protein is so important.
Yeah.
So protein... Yeah, you want to talk, Corey?
Yeah, I want to add to that because I like that. I like that, and I like the way that looks with the hormone thing. I think that also a big thing with that hormone. Tell me if I'm wrong here. Where protein, so like the more protein we have in our diet, obviously the more muscle we will maintain. So enhance will drop body fat. So the more muscle regulates more better hormones. Is that what really kind of get with that?
There is. So there's a slide coming up that's all about protein and in relation to muscle. And there's also a hormone that I want to talk about called myokines. That is, it's like a driver for a lot of your fat loss. So write that down on the side, because when we get to that slide, let's talk about that. Okay. Awesome. Okay, protein and the amino acids. So protein are complex molecules that are made up of 22 amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of protein. So if you think of like little puzzle pieces being the amino acids, once you put all those puzzle pieces together to create the picture, that becomes your protein. Okay, so some amino acids are produced in the body naturally. These are called non-essential amino acids. There's another group called essential amino acids, because your body needs to consume them through like food or supplementation. So I'll just go here. We're not going to go through them all. So think essential, you need to get them from your diet or supplementation. Non-essential, your body already makes them. And then I put a spot for conditionally essential, because yes, your body makes some of these, but it said that as the world gets more toxic and there's more pollution, our body starts to deplete of these amino acids. So we might have to supplement with some of them through diet and supplementation. So that's what I put conditionally essential. So I highlighted 3 in the essential category: leucine, lysine, and methionine. You're going to see those later in the slides on how those are important for muscle building. We could talk a lot about these essential amino acids and how these ultimately are the ones that carry out the functions. So when we go back to this slide and we talk about how protein is important for your neurotransmitters and your mood, if I go back to your amino acids and we talk about tryptophan. So tryptophan is an essential amino acid, but it's also one of the precursors to serotonin. So people know that serotonin is what like is needed for, happiness and mood boosting. So people that have depression and mood disorders are typically deficient in serotonin. So consuming things like tryptophan is going to help your body make serotonin. So I'm not going to get into every amino acid, but those are just examples at how all these amino acids play a huge role into every function of your body. Corey, do you want to add anything?
No, that's really good. To those amino acids, where I would add to this is I'm pretty sure I'm not sure it's in the slides here, but to understand where a protein source comes from, where the energy. So understand that 1 gram of protein equals 4 grams of calories. So just to wrap your head around, if people get confused about calories and macros themselves, just understand that 1 gram of protein equals 4 calories.
Beautiful. All right. So protein, muscle, and our health. So Corey, we got a couple slides about muscle and protein in here. So that's where we can start talking about hormones and longevity. So muscle is the organ of longevity. It functions beyond locomotion. Muscle is the foundation of your metabolism, helping to regulate blood sugar and blood lipids. It's also an endocrine organ. So endocrine meaning like that's where all of your hormones are secreted, is through like the endocrine function, and secrete myokines, proteins that help regulate metabolism in all other tissues of the body. So the more muscle you have, the more you secrete these myokines, which help regulate your metabolism. The stronger and healthier your muscles, the more carbohydrates and fat your body burns. It's your metabolic currency. Okay, Corey, you want to go on and talk about this one a little bit?
Yeah, like I want to get into, obviously, we talk about protein a lot. And I think that in society, just even hearing it a lot through my years, everybody relates, when you ask someone what a protein is, the first thing they're going to tell you is protein powder. And like, agreed where protein powder can be helpful, but I want everybody here listening and into this chat where like, when we talk proteins, I want everyone to start thinking animal proteins, like plant proteins, of stuff we can get through our diet and whole foods. I think that as we keep talking here, everybody, I want you to not think of so much the whey protein part of things and the supplemental, but I want to talk about how we can eat protein. So where these protein sources come from. We can talk about those, but I want everyone to keep thinking that we evolution started with animal proteins and then what we ate from the ground and so on and so forth. I just want everyone to kind of think about that.
So as you spoke on animal proteins and plant proteins, I'm going to go back to amino acids quickly. So just to note, so a lot of, we'll talk about vegan and vegetarian diets quickly. So in one complete protein has all of your amino acids. So the only thing that has a complete protein are animal products. So let's talk about like quinoa and beans or legumes, which have protein in them, but they're not complete proteins because they don't have all of your amino acids. So again, the only thing that has all of your amino acids are animal products. Yes, you can get a complete protein by combining, so food combining. So you might have beans that have 4 amino acids, and then you might have quinoa that has the other 5. By combining those, yes, you make a complete protein, but by that point, you have just consumed a lot of carbohydrates to get to that complete protein source. So it is possible to be a vegan and vegetarian and get a complete protein, but your carbohydrates might look a little bit, your carbohydrate intake is going to be higher. And if you're someone like me who struggles with carbohydrate digestion, you might have issues with bloating or constipation. So just keep that in mind, that animal protein is superior because it has all of your amino acids. Okay, let's move back on to muscle. Okay.
We get in the weeds about that one, but just understand everybody that like animal proteins got a bad rep, but we have to had a bad rep, but and at the end of the day, it has a complete protein source. So can't be unhighlighted as a amazing source of protein.
Okay, so muscle protein in our health, moving on. Having increased muscle compared to fat has profound implications for your metabolic functions, which is critical for your overall health. Your metabolic function controls your body composition, blood sugar, ability to manage fats, and is your fuel during times of illness. Obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and many other chronic health problems begin with inactive muscles and poor metabolism. This can be known as metabolic dysfunction. So when your metabolism isn't working properly, that's when you're going to see things like diabetes and heart disease come to fruition. So we talk a lot about like build muscle, worrying more about building muscle over losing fat. And the reason being, especially when we were in here, it was when we talk about that organ, the endocrine function that secretes myokines. So it regulates your metabolism. So the more muscle you have, the more metabolically efficient you're going to be at burning fat. So that's why we care more about burning or increasing muscle than burning fat. So what are the two ways to stimulate and protect muscle? Diet and resistance training, which you all do in the gym anyway. Okay, Corey, you want to add to that?
Yeah, there's a few things. So understanding with protein, we eat, we talk about metabolism. We say that a lot, that word a lot. What is really metabolism? But understand that protein is the only macronutrients out of obviously macronutrients, carbs, fats, and proteins. Protein's the only one that has a thermogenic effect. What that means, it actually takes energy to break this down. That's why it's so beneficial to have it in your diet when it's if it's the one we highlight, you actually increase metabolic burn by just eating it. So understanding that part alone will help you wrap your head more on protein as well. So, yeah.
All right. So we said, I wanted you to remember those 3 amino acids, leucine, lysine, and methionine. So what does leucine do? Promotes muscle protein synthesis. So what that means is that helps you increase your muscle size and muscle growth. It's a modulator for insulin signaling. So we'll talk about insulin for a second and how that's important in like regulating your hormones and lowering body fat. Fuel for your skeletal muscle and ability to burn fatty acids. So think of leucine as like the amino acid that you really want to prioritize when you're building muscle. It's found predominantly in eggs and whey protein. So those are the 2 sources that are the highest in leucine, eggs and whey protein. Lysine synthesizes protein. So synthesizes just means that it's helping your amino acids work together to create other amino acids. So earlier when I said that tryptophan turns into serotonin, that's what we mean by synthesizing proteins, how they all start at one and then they move into different ones and they synthesize through the body chemically. So it's responsible for your connective tissues, tendons, ligaments, and collagen. Think of all the times, and like ladies, if you're over 40 and you're now starting to feel like the aches, the pains, the muscle joints, tendons, I hear this from my mom all the time. Start to eat more protein. You don't just have to go get a collagen supplement, but start to get foods high in lysine so that you're protecting your connective tissues. It's the backbone to carnitine, which helps your body burn fat for fuel. I don't know if anybody ever hopped on the supplement train, L-carnitine, which I had before, because it helps you burn fat. Sure, you can use it as a supplement, or you can just eat more foods that are high in lysine. Okay. And methionine, it's responsible for making creatine. So everybody takes creatine, we sell it, HQ has it. It's great to supplement with it, but just remember that there is protein that actually has creatine in it from methionine. It helps synthesize cysteine, which leads to glutathione, another amino acid, and which is an antioxidant, helps with immunity and production of DNA, and detoxes heavy metals. So think of all the heavy metals in our world, like that we can't really avoid. So methionine is helpful for that. So a lot of times with protein, we just say protein helps with this, protein helps with that. By understanding the amino acids and the science behind it, we're giving you the why. These are the reasons and why it's actually helping. Corey, you want to talk about it?
Yes, back onto that why. Good, Jack. Because like a lot of this stuff here, you guys maybe have no idea what these terms are or no understanding of what this means, but understanding why you're eating protein, dive into it, learn about what we have for you guys, because it helps you understand what you're taking into your body. There's something to be said about being, more mindful and more understanding what you're putting in your body, which helps things kind of stick. You don't just go a bunch of days just eating protein, just kind of get a little deep into it. No one's asking you to be like, have a degree in this stuff, but just to understand, like, there's a lot of reasons why protein's so beneficial. And this is where we break it down for you.
All right, so that's our last slide. So I figured now we can just kind of go ahead and talk about how we did go over how it aids in fat loss by giving you the whys. So we talked a lot about how, protein helps build muscle. That's going to help you secrete these myokines. It's going to make you more metabolically flexible. So a lot of the whys in here are behind how that helps with fat loss. But Corey, if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, let's talk about, I like how you said that, Jack, metabolically flexible. What does that mean? Talking about metabolism, what does that mean? And I think that we need to start wrapping our heads around, we always say keep muscle on our body. So if we keep more muscle on our body, we are going to ramp up metabolism. What that means is we're burning more calories per day. And am I going down the right tree there, Jack, or am I not?
No, absolutely. And that's so we talked about the why, and my brain works in a way that I have to understand everything before I can understand anything. So that's how I was deep diving into this. Like, you would hear people say like, well, it helps metabolism and it helps you burn fat. And I would just sit there going, why? So then that's when I go down the rabbit hole of things like these myokines and what actual metabolism means and how that helps you burn fat. So no, you hit the nail on the head.
Well, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So I interrupted Jacqueline there. I just got just thinking about like you guys everyone maintaining muscle in the body and single-handedly just by eating enough protein in your diet. What happens usually right off the hop is body weight doesn't even change. And we talk about, I got to weigh myself on the scale. But the first thing that starts to change is body composition. And that's telling you right there that body fat is dropping and muscle is being maintained. Okay. So if the scale's not moving, you're eating enough protein, but the body composition is changing. That's telling you a lot of things. What you see in the mirror, how the clothes are fitting, that is due to the fact that you are increasing muscle density, which also is going to metabolize more body fat on the body, which will sculpt and change the body. So having that muscle in the body, let's say you go to the gym 3 days a week, you want to get the most metabolic, you want to get the most burn out of your day or out of your gym workout. Well, if we maintain that muscle on our body, we're going to be able to adapt into more calories burned, not always about more calories burned, but I want to just more body fat utilized in the body, right? Yeah,
and I had something written down here that I wanted to say. Here, let me go back, Corey. So we talked about diet and resistance training being the ways to stimulate and protect your muscle. So I think there's been, I wish Danny was on here because I wish the three of us could have a discussion about this. Yeah. So it's always said that your highest protein intake should be the days that you're training. I disagree. And I think your highest protein days should be the days that you're resting. Reason being is because we see that there are two ways to stimulate muscle protein synthesis through diet and resistance training. So by resistance training, you are already stimulating muscle protein synthesis. And yes, we know you're still going to have a high protein diet. But on those days that you're not resting, you're not using resistance training to promote muscle protein synthesis. So on those days at rest, you should be consuming more protein to accommodate for the fact that you're not resistance training on that day. It's going to help with recovery and growth. Right. That could be a wormhole and a discussion, but that's just my opinion on it.
I agree on the opinion for sure, but where I will debate a little bit would be due to the fact that I think in society we don't even I would say I would almost push 99.9% of people in our society are not eating enough protein to begin with. And I think a day-to-day should just be protein consumption regardless of training or non-training. I think it's a topic that we need to push more. And I think that day-to-day they should just be hammering protein, because I think most people don't really realize how much less protein they have a day. You know, I even see, I eat peanut butter, I'm eating my protein. No, you're not. You know what I mean? Like, that's not protein enriched protein. Like, that's more fat enriched. So I think
what's the most dominant macronutrient in that food? And in peanut butter, like you said, it's fat versus protein. Having 3 grams of protein isn't considered a protein rich meal.
No.
So let's talk about some things that are rich in protein. We talked about animal products, whey protein, like from a good New Zealand source, whey. What else you got, Corey?
Well, obviously eggs, unreal. Egg whites, they are actually a great source outside of if you want a non-goat animal, but also, if you talk animal, fish is a fantastic source of protein as well.
So like we said earlier, guys, like animal protein is supreme for getting complete proteins, but it is not impossible to get proteins from other sources, like vegetable sources or grains. Keep in mind that you will be consuming more carbohydrates, but there's nothing wrong with, if you had eggs for breakfast and you had chicken for lunch, and then maybe your snack is a little bit of a bean salad. Like that's also protein rich as well. So we're not saying you have to eat animal protein for everything, but make that the biggest driver and component for your high protein meals. So you can get it done with vegetable or vegan sources, but it's not necessarily the best way.
Yeah, could you get rid of the slideshow?
Yep.
I think we're pretty much on there, right?
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Corey. I think we can wrap it up.
No, I think we're going down pretty good here, and I forgot what I was going to say here.
I love how passionate he is talking.
Tell Dino what.
That's Dino in the background. He's Corey's hype man. He's like, every time Corey's talking, he's doing this. But so I think everyone's been dialed in with their macros. Everyone's been working with Danny or you for a long time. So my thought is just to try to get no less than 30 grams of protein in at every meal. You want to shoot for, in my opinion, 1 pound of body weight per gram of protein, or at least your goal weight. So if you are a woman that's 230 pounds and your goal is to get down to 150, then your protein should be close to 150 as opposed to 230. Okay, so that's my take on the matter. Corey, if you want to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, like the coaches you have will help you understand that it depends. And when you guys hear us talk, we can kind of talk about the masses here, but at the end of the day, the coach you're with asks certain questions and does certain things about you. It's understand that's huge thing to take away. Okay, we throw all these numbers at you, but numbers are numbers. And as a coach sits aside and understands and gets to know you, that's what makes it special. Okay, So Danny, Jacqueline, myself, you have as a coach, will help you in that way of things. But back to what I forgot I was going to say was, no matter what you guys are doing, meal prepping through the week or getting food ready, your number one source, why I find, and I think people don't get enough protein in their diet, is we are not preparing and having it ready. Preparation is massive. It's the first thing I cook when I meal prep, non-negotiable. Okay. Next is my vegetables. Next are my carbohydrates, but you don't even have to really prepare those quick because they're so easily accessible. That's the problem why I think we are lacking our protein. We are not preparing ourselves to have the protein prepared because it takes time to properly cook it, have it ready. And that's where we're not putting enough time into that. If you solely just have your protein prepared and have that as a non-negotiable per day, you will get your results, or you will stay where you need to be, not fly off the beaten path. So again, sorry I get passionate about this, guys. Protein cannot be underrated. It's very important to have it ready, prepared, and eaten. It's the first thing you put on your plate. It's the first thing you eat on your plate. Then you start going from there. Eat your protein first, go on to your vegetables, head into your fats, head into your starches. If you don't like to mix your foods like I do in these power bowls, I just slam everything together, you can do that. Or if you like to not be picky and food can't touch your shit, you know, they can't touch each other, just eat your protein first, go into the veggies, go into the fats, go into the carbohydrates or the starches next. Sorry, that was a huge rant, and I just can't get over that one, man.
I think if we could summarize it, prioritize protein over everything. There's benefits to your others, your fats and your carbs, but prioritize protein, as we explained, all the benefits of it, but it's also the most satiating. It's going to keep you full the longest. Like, think about it. Could you overeat a steak like you could overeat potatoes? I could go to town on some potatoes, but like once I've eaten a 4 to 6 ounce piece of steak, like I'm full. I don't want any more. So prioritize that. And then even like little tips and tricks. Like I was talking to some people at a birthday party yesterday. You want a cookie? You want a piece of cake? You're at a party? Okay, have that. But maybe why don't you have some protein first so you're fuller, you're more satiated, and then that's going to stop you from overeating a treat later in the day. So little tips and tricks you could do so that, you know, you don't fall off the rails and you're prioritizing your protein.
And if you're tracking, if you don't hit everything else, if you hit your protein, you're already ahead of the game, okay? So if you're down in your fats, or you're down in your carbohydrates, or you're over in your fats, but you hit your protein, I don't care. Hit the protein. There should be no question regardless. If you have 1,500 calories a day, let's say, or whatever, or if you have like if you have 150 grams of protein a day, split 3 meals up, you have 50 grams of protein per meal. Done deal, non-negotiable, move on, go on to the next day, do better next time. Just have the protein. That's it.
All right. I say we call it. Our little, it was basically like a podcast rant with Carrie listening in the car. Yeah. So we'll record this. We'll send this out to you guys. We can send you the spreadsheet and then the slideshow. And if you have any questions as a follow-up to this, or you want to learn any more information, just reach out to Danny, Corey, or myself, and we can dive a little bit deeper with you guys.
And guys, please, if you want topics or you're interested about things, please, this is your time. Fuel Tank is really good for you guys to get in there and start asking questions. Don't be embarrassed. Don't just think that, oh, I'm going off track, I don't know what to do. Like, something pops in your head, throw it up there. We'll help each other out. I need you guys. I need us to come together here. Day to day, I know it's hammering the same thing to you, and you keep hammering away at the same thing and not getting the same result. Just ask a question if you need further information, or we have it for you regardless. Sweet.
All right. Okay.
Thanks, Corey, Jacqueline.
Thanks, Carrie.
You have any questions, Care? Are you good?
No, I'm good. I'm just gonna eat my 300 grams of meat that I've prepared for myself to start my day off.
Now that we yelled at you to eat it.
No, I already planned for it, thankfully.
Awesome.
Already been cooked.
Good.
Beautiful. Okay. Thanks, everybody. We're going to stop the recording.
All right, bye.